He didn't say it loud. He didn't need to. The sheriff's voice slid under the bone and hooked something I'd spent 10 years burying. I know what you are. Moonlight silvered the school parking lot. Sirens pulsed in the distance. Parents cried into their hands. My student's backpack lay open at my feet, pink, glittery, small. I should have felt the cold. I didn't. My wolf woke, stretching like a knife. I smiled for a decade, paid taxes, baked cupcakes, kept my head down, never shifted, never slipped, never howled. And then he looked at me like I was a crime scene. If you believe fate hunts what we hide, hit subscribe to Rene's romance stories before we step into the dark, because the one taking our children isn't a stranger. And if I'm right, the truth will drag me back into a world I swore I'd never return to. My name is Mara Vale, 27, third-grade teacher at Coral Ridge Elementary. I live in a duplex with peeling paint and a lemon tree that never fruits. I drink too much coffee and pretend that silver doesn't sing to me. I also happen to be a wolf shifter who hasn't shifted in 3,642 days. I counted. Counting feels like control. That morning started like 100 others. A chorus of tiny voices. Crayons rolling off desks. The sticky, sweet smell of glue and apple juice. I wore my safest version of myself. Soft cardigan, soft voice, soft smile. Children love soft things. Ms. Vale, can I water the class fern? Lila Hart asked, freckles bright against her brown skin, 2 front teeth missing. She hugged the green plastic watering can like it was a pet. Only if you promise not to drown him again, I said. She giggled. I'll just give him sips. Sips. I swallowed down the wrong kind of thirst. The kind that grows on a full moon and asks for something hot and red and running. I'd starved it for 10 years. It never grew smaller. It only learned my name. At 10:07 a.m., the intercom crackled. Lockdown drill, the office said. Except it wasn't the bored voice we got once a quarter. It was tight, thin, like someone squeezing a tube of breath. I moved because that's what I've trained myself to do. Act human first, panic second. Books down, I said lightly. We're practicing our turtle shells. A chorus of groans, a flurry of motion. 22 small bodies turned into floor shapes behind their desks. It wasn't a drill. We learned that 20 minutes later, when the amber alert crawled across my phone, and the principal's eyes were glass when she came to my door. Lila, she said, voice wobbling. We can't find Lila. Lila's desk was a mouth left open. Her backpack sagged on the hook like a deflated balloon. The fern she loved had a tiny puddle beneath it. Too much kindness. I don't cry at school. Not in front of them. I smiled, the way teachers are taught to smile in emergencies. But under my skin, something old and wrong unfurled. The pull. My wolf didn't want to comfort anyone. My wolf wanted to track. The police made us line up by classroom. Parents crowded the hallway, faces crumpled, voices rising. I kept hearing the word van and last seen and playground gate. My wolf heard more. The hinges whisper, gravel's story. A smell where there shouldn't be one. Not oil, not exhaust. Musk pine sap. Iron. No, no. A deputy in a brown uniform guided us to the lot for statements. That's when I saw him. The sheriff. Broad-shouldered, dark hair clipped short. The kind of stillness that looks like patience until it moves and becomes a decision. A man built for carrying bad news and heavy things. A silver badge glinting like a crescent moon. Sheriff Rowan Hale, the deputy said, ushering him toward me. This is Miss Vale, Lila's teacher. Rowan's eyes did the first betrayal. They softened. Not many people meet a teacher in a crisis and soften, They demand. They plead. They unload. He cataloged me instead. The red of my eyes from not blinking. The chalk on my sleeve. My hands clasped so tight, my knuckles paled. Then his gaze slid lower, to where the breeze teased the hem of my cardigan, and I did the smallest, stupidest thing. I stepped back. Wolves don't wear crosses, but we have tells. The ones who hunt us know them. The ones who used to be us know them better. He asked the right questions. When did you last see Lila? Did she mention anyone new at home? Anyone hanging around the playground? Any family changes, divorces, moves, new jobs? Last bathroom break, 10:29. She was coloring before that. Her mom's been working doubles. New boyfriend, but he seemed kind. My voice sounded like rocks in a dryer. No strangers near the gate. The crossing guard knows every face. Rowan nodded, taking notes. Did Lila ever talk about secret places? Hiding spots? Kids her age build dens. The word landed in the softest, most dangerous part of me. My skin prickled. All the fluorescent lights hummed like a hive. I forced myself to breathe in the smell of asphalt and old gum and the citrus cleaner the janitor likes too much. Don't smell the other thing. Don't smell. Pine. Musk iron. My stomach flipped like the world had turned inside out. Not human. Not entirely. Not one wolf either. The scent was layered, old, familiar in the way a nightmare is familiar when you wake up and still taste blood. Rowan's silver-gray eyes locked onto mine, cutting through the noise of sirens and parents crying into their hands. What do you smell? He asked. I forced a laugh, brittle and sharp. Kids. Crayons. Panic. His jaw tightened. He leaned closer, voice low enough that only I could hear. Don't lie to me. I know what you are. The words carved straight into the secret I'd spent a decade burying. And in that moment, standing on cracked asphalt under the trembling police tape, I knew two things. The sheriff didn't want to arrest me. He wanted my help. Because whoever was taking the children had left a trail meant for me to follow. I went cold. He shouldn't know. No one in Coral Ridge knew. I'd scrubbed myself inhuman all these years. Church on holidays, a book club I never attended, rent paid early, trash bin neatly aligned with the curb. I never ran on full moons. I never looked up at them. Sheriff, I said, trying to laugh again, if you're accusing me, I'm not, he said, and stepped closer. Close enough that the metallic tang of his badge didn't cover the clean heat of his skin. Close enough that my wolf slid forward, sniffing the space between us with greedy, shameful curiosity. I know what you are. Every muscle in my body tightened. Human panic said run. Wolf logic said drop. I did neither. I did what a good teacher does in a hallway of grief. I stood still and held the line. If you know, I said, and my voice surprised me by not shaking, why am I not in cuffs? Because I don't want to arrest you. His gaze flicked past me, over the blacktop, to the playground gate where a ribbon of police tape trembled like a thin, frightened thing. I want your help. My help, I echoed. He angled his notebook against his thigh, a shield from the other parents, the other teachers, the eyes that would burn me at the stake if they knew. His voice went lower. It brushed the underside of my ribs. Because whoever took Lila isn't a stranger to you, is he? The world fuzzed at the edges. Behind my lips, a low sound started, an apology or a growl. I swallowed it whole. I don't know what you mean. Mara, he said, and something about my name in his mouth made a bright, reckless heat lick at my throat. I was stationed in Black Ridge years ago. I've seen pack business up close. Your kind leaves a signature. This one is organized, military, ritual mixed with modern. That's rare, he was right. And being right meant he was a danger. You should talk to your contact, I said, flailing for detours. If you know pack business. My contact is dead, he said simply. A year ago. Found on the state line, throat open. I never found who. But I never forgot the smell on him, iron, pine, musk. My knees wanted to go. My secrets wanted to run. The past wanted to pull me by the hair. I stared at the police tape until my eyes watered. It danced in the wind, a pale serpent. Lila's backpack glinted. A sequin winked like a bad joke. If I help you, I said, each word a brick I laid between me and the cliff. You protect my class. You keep my name out of your reports, and if anyone comes for me, you stand in the door. It was reckless. It was begging. It was a bargain with a man I didn't know. Done, Rowan said, no theatrics, like he'd been waiting for me to ask. But I need your truth in return. I wrapped my cardigan tighter, human armor that wouldn't stop a single claw. My palm brushed the scar on my hip through the fabric, 4 ridges, old and pale, shaped like a signature. My old alpha, I said softly. The words tasted like rust. He called us his children when he wanted our loyalty, his hounds when he wanted our fear. He taught me to track with my tongue on the wind. I looked at the playground gate and the faint scuff in the dust where small sneakers had skidded. And that scent is his. Rowan didn't flinch. He didn't look triumphant either. He looked like a man at the mouth of a cave, hearing a sound you only hear once in your life and never forget. How long since you left him? He asked. 10 years? 3 towns. 1 fake last name. I teach sight words and long division now. I recycle. I vote. I met his eyes because not meeting them would be losing. I don't hunt. He nodded like this mattered, like it was grace. You do today. Wind skimmed across the lot and brought the forest with it. My teeth ached. A far-off siren rose and fell, like breathing. I thought of Lila's missing tooth smile, her fern puddle, her pink backpack open-mouthed by the curb. I took 1 step toward the gate. Not here, Rowan said, sensing it before I moved wrong. Too many eyes. We contaminate. We wait for dusk. Dusk is when wolves stop pretending. He won't wait. He wants you to follow, Rowan said. He's counting on your rules to slow you down. He didn't know me then. I kept rules so I wouldn't split open. I broke them to save children. I'll need time, I said. And a map. I'll bring both, he said. 7 p.m., the edge of Cedar Hollow. There's an old service road by mile marker. 9. His voice lowered again. And Mara, don't go alone. I almost laughed. There's no one to call. His jaw worked. He slid a simple white card into my hand. Rowan Hale, Sheriff. Numbers printed like a promise. His fingers brushed my palm, warm and human and unbearably alive, and the wolf in me tilted her head, curious, wanting, dangerous. He stepped back into the noise and the grief and the human shuffle of a bad day. I stood alone with my cardigan and my scar, and a name I hadn't said in 10 years pushing through my teeth like a thorn. Alden, my old alpha. The reason I don't look at the moon, the reason I count the days, the reason a small girl's backpack lay empty at my feet. I put Rowan's card in my pocket. I locked my classroom. I wrote a note for the substitute. Emergency. Will return tomorrow a lie or a hope. Depends on who's counting. When I finally went home, the lemon tree outside my door dropped a single green knob onto the step with a soft thud. I picked it up, rolled it between my fingers, and felt nothing. Inside, I showered in water as hot as a wound and scrubbed until my skin stung. Then I opened the old cedar box beneath my bed, the one I swore I'd never open again. Inside, a claw-marked strip of leather, a small bone charm, a photograph of a girl who looked like me but with her head tipped back, laughing at the moon like she believed it loved her. At the bottom, wrapped in white cloth, my sigil knife, silvered edge, black handle, a crescent pressed into the pommel. My hand remembered it before my mind did. I held it, and the house felt less lonely. 7 p.m. I told the lemon that would never sweeten. Edge of the hollow. On my way out, I caught my reflection in the hall mirror. The girl from the photo was gone. In her place, someone quieter, sharper, a clean line drawn in the dark. I locked the door behind me and didn't look back. The clock in my kitchen read 6:41 p.m. by the time I pulled off the county road and onto the gravel shoulder. My little sedan wheezed like it resented secrets. The sun slid low, painting the world in copper and fire. Shadows stretched thin across the fields, pointing toward the woods like accusing fingers. I shouldn't have come. Every part of me screamed it. 10 years of hiding, gone in a single day. But children don't disappear by accident, not in patterns, not in scents that scrape your bones. And Rowan Hale. The thought of him set a strange, unwanted heat moving in my veins. He carried himself like iron wrapped in patience, and worse, he'd seen through me. No one had done that in a decade. I cut the engine. Silence swallowed me. Somewhere, a crow called. The hollow wasn't a place people visited. Once, loggers had stripped it bare. When the company left, the forest grew back wild and crooked, trees nodding over the rusting bones of machines. Wolves like places that heal wrong. Brilliant, Mara, I muttered. Meet the sheriff who could destroy you in the one place the trees remember blood. I didn't have to wait long. Headlights split the twilight, tires crunching slow on gravel. A black SUV. It stopped behind me. Rowan stepped out, all broad shoulders and steady steps, a shadow carved out of dusk. He wore plain clothes now, dark jeans, a gray Henley, but the badge still clipped at his belt glinted like a half moon. His hand brushed the butt of his sidearm before he pocketed his keys. A habit, not a threat. Still, my pulse skipped. You came, he said. I said I would. I tucked my hands into my jacket pockets. Better he not see the way my fingers twitched for the knife hidden in my bag. His eyes, impossible eyes, caught the last of the sunlight. Silver. Not like mine, not fully. Human, but touched. I'd seen wolves stare down prey with less intensity. You doubted me? I asked. He tilted his head, a small shrug. You've been running for a long time. Runners don't usually stop when someone says, help me. I didn't stop for you. My voice came sharper than I meant. I stopped for her. For Lila. Something shifted in his jaw, softer than a smile but warmer than pity. That's why I came to you. Because you care. I hated the way his words landed. They weren't flattery. They were observation. Dangerous. He was cataloging me, piece by piece, as if learning the shape of my cage. He motioned toward the tree line. Tracks don't last long out here. We'd better start before the dark settles. We moved together, our footsteps swallowed by pine needles and damp earth. The air grew cooler, wetter, filled with moss and something else. Old rust, faint and metallic. My wolf shifted beneath my skin, restless, sniffing. Rowan's flashlight clicked on. A narrow beam cut across twisted roots and old machinery. The hollow whispered around us. Why me? I asked, low. You've got deputies. State police? Dogs? Why drag me into this? He stopped at the edge of a clearing and angled the light downward. In the dirt, prints. Small, sneakers, drag marks beside them. Because they can't smell what you can, he said. His gaze lifted, pinning me. And because I know exactly who we're up against. The ground tilted beneath me. My chest pulled tight. Say it. Alpha Alden. My breath left in a rush. How? I told you. Blackridge. His jaw clenched, a muscle feathering. I worked border patrol between territories. Saw what he did to his pack. Saw what happened to the ones who tried to leave, his eyes locked on me. I know his stench anywhere. Pine. Musk iron. The words made me flinch. Hearing them in someone else's mouth felt like betrayal, like exposure. I left him, I whispered. Then why do you still wear his scars? Rowan's voice cut, but not cruel. His flashlight shifted, illuminating my hip for just a second. My cardigan had slipped, bearing the faint white ridges beneath my shirt. Heat flared across my face. I pulled the fabric down, too late. You don't get to look at me like that, I snapped. Like what? Like you know what it's like to be owned. The woods went silent around us. Rowan let out a slow breath, mist curling in the beam of his light. I don't know. Not like you. But I know what it's like to betray someone you swore loyalty to, because they betrayed you first. His words sat heavy between us. He wasn't lying, but he wasn't telling the whole truth either. Before I could ask, a howl split the night. Not wild, not free, commanding. A sound that once made me drop to my knees. My heart slammed against my ribs. My wolf whimpered inside me. Rowan's hand brushed mine, brief but grounding. Don't answer it. I hadn't realized my throat had already gone tight, ready to echo the call. He knows I'm here, I whispered. Rowan's grip tightened, warm, real. Then we find the kids before he finds you. His flashlight beam landed on something half buried in the dirt. I bent, heart hammering. A shoelace, pink, glittered, lilas. I closed my fist around it, and for the first time in 10 years, my wolf surged forward without asking. My nails ached. My teeth ached. My body knew what I had to do. Track, hunt, kill. Rowan's voice cut through the thrum of blood in my ears. Mara, if you shift out here, they'll all know. You'll never get this life back. I stared at him, the lace biting into my palm, my wolf snarling in my bones. This life was never mine, I said. The howl came again, closer. And for the first time, Rowan didn't look like law or iron or patience. He looked like a man bracing himself to fight beside a wolf. The lace burned in my palm as Rowan's flashlight swept the clearing again. Every instinct screamed for me to drop to all fours and tear into the trail, but 10 years of discipline pinned me upright. My wolf fought the cage I'd built around her, rattling it so violently my teeth ached. Breathe, Rowan murmured, close enough that his voice threaded through the storm in my head. Don't let him drag you back with a sound. I wanted to snap at him. He didn't know what it meant to have your bones wired to someone else's command. But the truth is, I did breathe, and the tremor in my chest eased just enough to speak. You don't understand what he is to me, I whispered. Then make me, Rowan said. Because if we're going after him, I need to know what you're running from. I hadn't told anyone the story. Not since the night I cut my ties and ran until my soles bled. But the scent of pine and iron in the air peeled me open. The past doesn't die when it's branded into your skin. I was 16 when he claimed the pack, I said, my voice a rasp. Alden was older, already cruel. My father, our beta, believed loyalty would protect us. He was wrong. Rowan kept his light steady on the dirt, but his eyes never left me. At first, Alden played at kindness. He gave us feasts, promised we'd be stronger than any other line, but every gift came with chains. If you disobeyed, he didn't just punish you, he made the others watch. My hand slipped beneath my cardigan, tracing the scar carved across my hip. I tried to leave once. Just once. He caught me at the border and gave me this. Said it was a reminder that wolves don't escape family. Rowan's jaw tightened. Family doesn't cut you open to keep you. I huffed a bitter laugh. Try telling that to a pack raised on blood oaths. A memory slipped in uninvited. The pack house lit by fire, the air thick with incense and iron. Alden's hand at the back of my neck, pressing me down as he whispered, "Mine, little wolf." Always mine. My mother crying quietly in the corner, too afraid to move. That's the moment I stopped believing in salvation. I believed in running instead. I disappeared one night, I said. Took nothing but my car and a knife. Changed my name. Coral Ridge was small enough to vanish into, quiet enough to pretend. And he let you go? Rowan asked. I shook my head. He didn't notice. Not at first. I was just one wolf among dozens. But I knew one day he'd look for me. I tightened my fist around Lila's shoelace until the sequins bit my skin. And now he has. We started moving again, deeper into the hollow. Each step made the forest louder, branches creaking, roots groaning, as if the land itself remembered Alden's reign. You said you worked Blackridge, I said after a moment. What did you see? Rowan's flashlight dipped, catching the edge of an old, rusted tractor half swallowed by ivy. His shoulders stiffened. Enough to know Alden doesn't just want obedience. He wants devotion. He breaks people until they think he's the only one who can put them back together. His voice held an edge I hadn't heard before. Not lawman, not patient sheriff. Personal. You sound like someone who's been broken. He didn't answer right away. His silence was answer enough. Why do you care now? I pressed. Why not let me keep hiding? Why drag me out when I've stayed gone this long? Rowan finally looked at me. The flashlight carved hollows into his face, but his eyes burned steady. Because it's children this time. And because he knows you're here. He won't stop until he's got you back in his circle or under his claws. My chest went tight. The truth I didn't want to admit pressed hard against my ribs. He won't want me dead, I said. No, Rowan agreed. He wants you alive. That's worse. The howl echoed again, closer now, threading through the branches like a blade. My wolf strained toward it. My human self braced against Rowan's presence, caught between the two. You said you wouldn't let anyone touch my class, I whispered. Swear it again. Rowan didn't hesitate. He reached across the space between us and pressed 2 fingers against my wrist, right over the thrum of my pulse. His touch was steady, grounding, too intimate. I swear, he said. On my badge, on my blood, on whatever you need it to mean, I'll stand in the door for them, and for you. The betrayal was how much I wanted to believe him. We followed the tracks until they thinned into the underbrush. Rowan crouched, his flashlight grazing faint claw marks etched into a tree trunk. Not animal wildness, intentional. A signpost. 4 lines slashed deep. My old Alpha's signature. Beneath it, a message scrawled in something dark and drying. Come home, little wolf. Would you face the Alpha who scarred you? Or run again and abandon those children? The words carved into the bark throbbed in my vision like a wound that hadn't healed. Come home, little wolf. My breath stuttered. My scar burned. For a second, I wasn't in Cedar Hollow. I was 16 again, kneeling on bloody dirt while Alden pressed a claw to my hip and whispered, "You don't leave me." "You only circle back," Rowan's flashlight clicked off. Darkness swallowed the clearing, leaving only a sliver of moonlight bleeding through the canopy. "He's taunting you." "No," I whispered, voice raw. "He's claiming me." Rowan stepped closer, boots crunching soft in the needles. "Then we'll make him regret it." I let out a broken laugh. "You talk like it's easy. Like you can put bullets in ghosts. He's not a ghost." His hand brushed mine in the dark, just long enough to steady me. "He's flesh. He bleeds. You think a gun will stop him?" "I think you will." The words struck deeper than I wanted. For 10 years, I'd kept my wolf caged, teeth blunt with denial. And now this man, this sheriff with silver eyes, was asking me to set her loose. "You don't understand," I said. "If I let her out, I don't know if she'll stop." "She's been starving too long." Rowan didn't flinch. "Then I'll be there when you come back." That was the betrayal. He spoke like he believed in me, when I didn't. We moved again, deeper into the hollow. The trail wound narrow, branches snagging at our clothes like warning hands. My wolf strained forward, nostrils flaring. Pine, musk iron, always iron. "Why did you leave him?" Rowan asked, his voice low. "Because he would have killed me if I stayed." "And why hasn't he killed you now?" I swallowed, throat tight. "Because he doesn't want me dead. He wants me broken. There's a difference." Rowan's silence was sharp. "He marked me as his future Luna," I said at last. "Not because he loved me. Alden doesn't know love, but because he wanted my bloodline tied to his reign." My father thought it was an honor. Rowan cursed under his breath, the sound bitter. "I was supposed to stand at his side, bear his heirs, smile while he tore through anyone who defied him. I ran instead, and now he's stealing children." Rowan's voice hardened. "He's building something again, using them." The thought made bile rise in my throat. Lila's missing tooth grin flashed in my memory. My wolf snarled. "We don't have time to wait for your task force," I said. "He'll move them before dawn." "Agreed." Rowan's flashlight swept ahead, catching the faint outline of paw prints pressed deep into the mud. Too large for dogs, too uniform for wild wolves. "He's already got his pack watching the border." The underbrush rustled. A shadow detached itself from the trees, massive, four-legged, eyes glowing amber. My heart seized. One of Alden's sentries. Rowan reached for his weapon, but I grabbed his wrist. "Don't. He wants you to fire. Gunshots will scatter the trail." The wolf growled, low and vibrating. A warning. My skin prickled as my own wolf shoved against my ribs, desperate to answer. I forced myself to step forward. My voice came rough, half growl. "Tell him I'm not coming home." The sentry froze. Ears flicked. Then, as if understanding, it melted back into the shadows. Rowan exhaled slow. "He's testing you." "No." My pulse thundered. "He's reminding me he still owns the leash." We broke through the trees into a clearing littered with rusted machinery. Old logging trucks eaten by vines, skeletal cranes reaching toward the moon. Rowan's light swept across claw marks etched into metal doors. Something glittered on the ground. I bent, fingers brushing cool plastic. A child's hair clip, pink and broken. My throat closed. "He has them." Rowan crouched beside me, his hand brushing mine again, not by accident. "Then we take them back." I looked at him, the badge at his hip, the quiet steel in his eyes. A man who should have been my enemy asking me to unleash the part of myself I hated most. "Why trust me?" I asked. "Why believe I won't turn on you the second my wolf's free?" He held my gaze without blinking. "Because if you were anything like him, you wouldn't still be here. You'd already be gone." The betrayal twisted in my chest. I wanted to believe him. Worse, I wanted him to be right. The night air carried another sound then. Not a howl, a laugh. Low, cruel, echoing through the hollow. Alden. Rowan's hand went to his gun. My hand went to my knife. The war we'd both been avoiding had finally found us. The laugh lingered long after the trees went silent, curling around my ribs like smoke. Rowan's jaw was tight, his flashlight sweeping across the skeletal machines. My wolf pressed harder against the walls of my skin, eager, reckless. "He's close," I whispered. Rowan nodded once, the kind of nod soldiers give before a charge. "Then we keep moving, but carefully. He's laying a trail meant for you," I wanted to argue, to tell him I knew Alden better than anyone alive. But the truth was bitter. Rowan was right. Alden was the kind of monster who baited traps with love. We pushed deeper into the hollow. The scent grew stronger. Iron, pine, musk, threaded with something sweeter. My stomach twisted. Blood. The beam of Rowan's flashlight caught movement ahead. A ribbon, torn and tangled in a bramble. I stumbled forward, heart slamming. It was blue with tiny daisies stitched into the fabric. "Not Lila," I whispered, clutching it. "This belongs to Hannah Clark. She's in my other class." Rowan's breath hissed between his teeth. "Another one." My knees nearly gave out. I'd promised myself I could endure Alden's shadow if it meant protecting the children. But he wasn't just circling me. He was taking them faster. 2 in one day. Rowan caught my elbow before I collapsed. His hand was steady, warm, grounding. Too close. "I should have seen it sooner," I whispered. "He always liked the young ones. Easy to mold, easy to scare." "You're not to blame for his sins," Rowan said firmly. But guilt ate through me anyway. I had run from Alden. I'd left others behind. Maybe this was his punishment for me, stealing innocence until I bent. Rowan didn't let go of me as we walked. The touch should have infuriated me, but instead it steadied my breathing. Worse, it warmed something I had no business feeling. "You're too calm," I said finally, yanking my arm free. "Do you not understand what he's capable of?" "I do," Rowan said simply. "I've seen it. And that's exactly why I can't afford to panic." I glared at him. "You're not the one with his brand carved into your body." "No," he admitted. His voice lowered, sharp but intimate. "But I carry scars too, Mara. Just not where you can see them." I hated the way his words stuck under my skin, like we shared something neither of us wanted. We stopped at the edge of a stream. Rowan crouched, shining his light across the muddy bank. Small prints, bare feet, too small for adults. Hannah's, Lila's, dragged together. My vision swam. My wolf clawed up my throat, begging to hunt. "You're shaking," Rowan said quietly. "I can't." I dug my nails into my palms. "I can't keep holding her back. If I don't let her out, I'll break." Rowan stood, stepping closer until the heat of his body brushed mine. His voice was low, dangerous in its gentleness. "Then don't hold her back. Not tonight." The air between us pulsed, silver eyes catching moonlight. My wolf rose, recognizing something primal in him. Not wolf, but not fully human either. He carried his own shadows, and my beast wanted to taste them. "Careful," I whispered, breath ragged. "You don't know what you're asking for." Rowan's hand lifted, fingertips hovering near my cheek, not touching. Then show me. The betrayal was that I wanted to lean in, to close the gap, to forget the children, the alpha, the scars, and let myself feel alive in his orbit. But before I could move, a howl split the night, closer than ever. Rowan's hand dropped. My wolf snarled, and the forest lit with movement. Shadows poured from the trees. Wolves, half a dozen, eyes glowing amber. Alden's pack. Amber eyes glowed all around us, a ring of fire in the trees. My wolf surged so violently inside me, I tasted iron. For 10 years I'd kept her chained. Tonight, the chains snapped one by one. Rowan didn't raise his gun. He didn't even flinch. His hand brushed mine again, deliberate, grounding. "Not yet," he whispered. "They're not here to kill us. They're here to hurt us." The wolves circled, low growls vibrating through the clearing, and then they melted back into the dark as suddenly as they came, leaving only silence and claw marks etched in the dirt. A message, a reminder. Alden could have killed us. He didn't. "He's playing with you," Rowan said. "No," I whispered, chest tight. "He's reminding me I was his." We pressed on, the forest thicker now, branches twisting overhead like skeletal hands. The air reeked of pine, musk, and iron. My wolf strained toward it, hungry and afraid. Then I saw it. Half buried in the mud beneath an old cedar stump, a leather-bound book. The cover was shredded with claw marks, the edges stiff with dried blood. I knew it instantly. My old pack's record. Alden made us write every oath, every punishment, every betrayal. My hands shook as I picked it up. The first page fell open, ink smeared but legible. Mara Vale. Property of Alpha Alden. Luna bound in blood. The scar on my hip throbbed like a fresh wound. I wanted to throw the book into the stream. Instead, I hugged it to my chest, bile rising in my throat. Rowan's eyes tracked my every move, not judgmental, knowing. "You didn't tell me he marked you for Luna." "Because it doesn't matter anymore." My voice cracked. I ran. I chose another life, not to him. Rowan's tone was rough. To him, this is unfinished business. I spun on him, fury boiling up. "Why do you know so much? You speak like you've studied him, like you've been waiting for this." Rowan's jaw worked. His silvered eyes didn't waver. "Because I have." The bottom dropped out of my stomach. "Explain." He dragged a hand down his face, the weight of confession heavy in his stance. "When I was stationed at Blackridge, Alden came to me. Offered me a deal, intelligence, territory control, in exchange for silence. For looking the other way, the forest tilted. My grip on the bloody book slipped. You worked with him. I thought it was the only way to keep the peace." Rowan's voice was sharp with regret. "I didn't see the full extent until it was too late. When I refused him, when I tried to break it, my contact ended up dead. That was my fault. I carry that my heart pounded so loud I could barely hear him. The sheriff who swore to protect me had once been complicit with the monster who owned my nightmares." "You knew," I whispered, the betrayal cutting deeper than Alden's scar. "You knew who he was, and you still—" "I'm not that man anymore." Rowan's voice cracked on the edges. "I came here because I need to make it right. And because I knew if he came for anyone, it would be you." The words hit like a blade twisted in the ribs. He'd found me not just because he wanted my help, but because he'd known Alden's obsession all along. "You're using me," I said, choking on the heat in my throat. "No." He stepped closer, desperation in every line of his body. "I'm asking you. Because I can't do this without you, and because you don't deserve to face him alone." I wanted to hate him. I wanted to turn and run. But his eyes, silver in the dark, held something I hadn't seen in years: regret and hope. Before I could answer, the trees shuddered with another sound. Heavy footsteps, deliberate, a voice rolling low through the night. Mara. The sound of my name in Alden's mouth froze the air. Rowan's hand went to his gun. My hand went to the knife. My wolf tore through the last of her chains. The alpha wasn't a shadow anymore. He was here. The sound of my name slithered through the hollow like smoke, curling into my lungs until I couldn't breathe. Mara. Alden's voice carried the same weight it had when I was 16, dragged to my knees by nothing more than a whisper. Rowan stepped in front of me, gun drawn, steady as stone. His body was a wall between me and the past, but the past knew how to seep through cracks. The trees parted, and he emerged. Alden hadn't aged like normal men. His hair, once black, was streaked with iron gray, but it only sharpened the cruelty of his face. His eyes gleamed amber gold, catching the blood-stained moon rising behind him. The air reeked of pine, musk, and iron. Always iron. "You've grown," Alden said, voice a low rumble. His gaze skimmed me head to toe, pausing at the edge of my cardigan where the scar burned beneath. "But scars never fade, do they, little wolf?" My stomach turned. My nails dug crescents into my palms. Rowan's voice was iron. "Step back, Alden. You're done here." Alden chuckled, shaking his head like a teacher correcting a foolish child. "You speak as though this is your town, Sheriff. But it's mine. It always has been. Every howl in these woods bends to me." His eyes snapped to mine. "Even yours." My wolf whimpered inside me, traitorous, pulled toward the bond he'd forged with claws and blood. I forced my chin up. "You'll never own me again." Alden's smile widened. "I don't need to own you, Mara. I only need to remind you what happens when you defy me." He snapped his fingers. From the shadows, wolves surged. Not one, not two, half a dozen. Their amber eyes flared as they surrounded us, snarls splitting the night. Rowan fired once, the gunshot cracking like thunder. A wolf yelped, crumpling, but the others pressed closer, teeth bared. "Don't waste your bullets," Alden drawled. "For every one you kill, 2 more will take its place. I breed loyalty." The word breed made bile crawl up my throat. Lila, Hannah, the other children. My stomach clenched. "You took them," I spat. "You're using them the way you used us." His eyes gleamed, proud. "Not using, elevating. These children will grow stronger than any pack before them, ritual mixed with science. I'll give them everything their weak parents never could." His smile sharpened. "They'll thank me." "They'll hate you," I said, my voice shaking. "No, Mara. They'll hate you for abandoning them when you run again." The words stabbed deep, because part of me wanted to. Run, hide, pretend this wasn't my war. Rowan glanced back at me, silver eyes cutting through the chaos. "Don't listen to him." Alden's gaze flicked to Rowan, and for the first time, his mask cracked. "Ah, the traitor in uniform. Do you think she'll forgive you when she learns you once bent knee to me?" My heart lurched. The betrayal struck fresh, even though Rowan had confessed already. Hearing it from Alden's mouth made it worse. Rowan didn't flinch. "That was then. This is now lies," Alden hissed. "A wolf's betrayal is never forgiven, not in blood, not in bond." He looked back at me, his voice a command I felt in my marrow. "Show him, Mara. Show him where your loyalty lies." My wolf howled inside me, torn between 2 masters, past and present, pain and hope. Rowan raised his free hand, not his gun, but his bare palm toward me. Choose for yourself. Not for him, not for me. For you. The wolves circled tighter, growls echoing off rusted machines. My body shook with the force of holding back. My wolf screamed to be free, to tear, to rend, and then I broke. My skin split, my bones reshaped, my breath became a snarl. The cardigan shredded as fur burst through. My claws hit the earth, silver under the blood moon. For the first time in 3,642 days, I shifted. The pack froze, shocked. Alden's grin split wide. There she is. But my eyes, glowing silver white, weren't on him. They were on Rowan. And for one searing heartbeat, I didn't know whether I'd fight beside him or tear him apart. The world sharpened to scent and sound the moment my paws hit the earth. Every pine needle glistened, every heart in the clearing thudded like a drum. My wolf reveled in the release, stretching wide, howling through my veins. Alden's pack lunged. I met the first wolf head-on, jaws clamping down on its throat. Hot blood sprayed, metallic and fierce, flooding my tongue. 10 years of starvation poured out in one savage kill. The others hesitated a beat too long, startled that the little wolf still had teeth. Rowan fired, each shot precise, covering my flank. We moved as though we'd trained for years, back to back, his bullets, my claws. A rhythm of lawman and outlaw, human and beast. But then a shadow broke from the tree line, bigger, faster. A wolf slammed into Rowan, knocking him hard against a rusted machine. His gun skittered away into the dirt. The beast pinned him, jaws snapping inches from his throat. My wolf froze, torn between prey and mate. Something inside me howled louder than instinct. Don't lose him. I lunged, tearing the wolf off him. My claws ripped flesh, my teeth split bone. When it dropped limp, I turned back. Rowan was slumped against the machine, blood blooming across his side. The scent hit me like lightning. His blood. Not wolf. Human. Fragile. I pressed my muzzle to his chest, frantic, heart hammering. He groaned, hand lifting weakly to brush my fur. Mara. The sound of my name in his mouth, soft and human, snapped something inside me. I lowered my head, nuzzled his throat, and before I could stop myself, before reason caught up, my teeth grazed his skin. Not to kill, to mark, a sharp sting, a spark. Our bond flared, raw and incomplete, but there. His pulse leapt beneath my teeth, sinking with mine for one impossible moment. Rowan sucked in a ragged breath, his silver eyes locked on me, wide, knowing. Behind us, Alden's laugh rolled through the clearing, cruel, triumphant. Oh, Mara, you always did mistake hunger for love. The words stabbed deep, because part of me wondered if he was right. Rowan's blood warmed my tongue, his scent wrapping around me like a chain. Not Alden's chain, my own. I stepped back, shaking, fur bristling. Rowan reached for me, his hand trembling, bloodied, but steady. You saved me, he rasped. But the betrayal lingered in the bond I'd forged without asking. A half mark, a tether. Alden's voice boomed again. You can fight me, little wolf. But in the end, you'll always belong to an alpha. His wolves melted back into the forest, leaving the echo of his laughter and Rowan bleeding in my arms. The night went still. My wolf panted, my human heart cracked. I'd saved Rowan. I'd marked him. And I had no idea if I'd doomed us both. The blood moon burned high, painting the hollow in crimson. My wolf prowled inside me, restless, wild, clawing for release. Rowan leaned against the rusted machine, blood seeping between his fingers, but his eyes, silver in the moonlight, never left mine. You have to end this, he rasped. I wanted to deny it, to run, to hide. But the shoelace in my pocket, the broken hair clip, the scent of small feet dragged through mud, all of it pressed down like chains heavier than Alden's ever were. A howl split the night. Not a challenge, a summons. I knew where it would lead before Rowan even spoke. The clearing. He wants you under the moon. The blood moon ritual. Alden was making me play his game. We moved slow through the forest, Rowan leaning on me when his wound pulled too deep. His heat against my side was unbearable, equal parts anchor and temptation. Every time his breath hitched, my wolf snarled, ready to turn back and tear Alden apart right then. But then we reached the clearing. Children huddled inside a ring of stone, eyes wide, wrists bound. Lila, Hannah, two others I didn't know. Their small bodies trembled, faces pale under the blood moon's glow. And Alden stood before them, arms outstretched, his wolves arrayed in perfect formation. His smile was a blade. "Welcome home, Mara." His voice boomed, carrying across the clearing. "You finally remembered who you are." My claws dug crescents into my palms. "Let them go." He laughed, the sound splitting the night. "Do you think I take children for ransom?" "Number. They are my offering, my legacy. When the blood moon drinks their fear, my power will rise beyond any alpha before me. With you at my side, the world will kneel." I shook my head, fury and nausea tangling in my chest. "I'll never stand beside you." "Oh, but you already do," Alden purred, gesturing at Rowan. "Your new sheriff wears your mark, half a bond, half a lie. You always did confuse defiance with freedom." Rowan stiffened, but his gaze didn't waver. "She belongs to no one." Alden's smile sharpened. "Brave words, human. Do you think your little scar makes you her equal? You're a placeholder. She'll crawl back when she remembers what true power feels like." My wolf howled, tearing at my ribs. For the first time, I didn't push her down. I let her rise, silver light flooding my veins. I stepped forward, voice raw. "I remember what it felt like, Alden. The pain, the fear, the chains. And tonight, I end it." His amber eyes flared, excitement sparking. "Then show me." The fight broke like a storm. Wolves lunged. I shifted mid-stride, fur ripping through skin, claws gleaming in moonlight. Rowan fired from the edge, covering the children, every shot echoing through the clearing. I crashed into Alden, claws against claws, teeth against teeth. He was stronger, always had been, but I was faster, fury pushing me where fear once held me back. He slammed me into the dirt, his muzzle at my throat. "You were mine, Mara." "You'll always be mine," I snapped back, jaws clamping on his shoulder. Blood filled my mouth. He roared, shaking me off, but I didn't stop. 10 years of rage burned too hot to cage. Rowan's shout split the chaos. "Mara!" The knife, the cedar box, my sigil blade. I'd strapped it at my hip before leaving. I shifted back, human for one agonizing heartbeat, yanking the silvered knife free. My body trembled, skin slick with blood and sweat. Alden lunged, shifting midair, half wolf, half man, claws raised. I drove the knife up. The silver pierced his chest, right beneath the crescent scar on his skin. His howl shattered the night, rage twisting into shock, then silence. He fell. The clearing went still. His wolves froze, then scattered into the trees, leaderless. The children sobbed, alive, unbroken. Rowan staggered toward them, cutting bonds with shaking hands. I dropped the knife, my hands trembling. Alden's blood steamed on the blade, pooling in the dirt. I'd killed my alpha, my monster, my past. But as Rowan's gaze met mine, silver and steady, A new fear curled in my chest, because now the only bond left pulling at me was his. The blood moon sagged lower, its crimson light fading into silver. Alden's body lay crumpled at my feet, steam rising where silver pierced his chest. For 10 years I'd imagined this moment, his death, my freedom. It didn't feel like freedom. Not yet. Rowan's voice pulled me back. Mara, help me. I staggered to him. He knelt by the children, hands trembling as he untied the last knot around Hannah's wrists. Lila clung to him, sobbing into his bloodied shirt. My wolf whimpered inside me, protective. They're safe, I whispered, touching Lila's hair, grounding myself in her warmth. He can't hurt them anymore. But the silence that followed wasn't peace. It was heavy. Watching. Waiting. Rowan looked up at me, his silver eyes pale in the dawn's first light. You did it. You ended him. I ended me, I said softly. The girl he branded. The wolf he claimed. She's gone. And what's left? I didn't answer, because I didn't know. We led the children back through the forest, Rowan limping, my wolf shadowing close. Every rustle made them flinch. Every howl in the distance reminded them of what they'd seen. But dawn came, and with it, a fragile kind of safety. By the time we reached the edge of town, the first birds sang. Parents rushed to us, weeping, clutching their children. No one asked why the sheriff bled silver into his shirt, or why my cardigan hung in shreds. They were too busy holding what they thought they'd lost. But I felt their eyes on me, whispers curling, questions unspoken. She was there. She came back with them. But what is she? I'd hidden for 10 years. Now the secret was loose. Later, in the quiet of my classroom, I sat at Lila's desk. The fern she loved drooped, soil still damp from too much kindness. My scar ached, but the mark on Rowan's throat ached more. I had done it without asking, bonded him halfway, claimed him in instinct, in blood. Rowan stepped into the doorway, shirt bandaged, hair damp from a hurried shower. His eyes softened when they found me. You're leaving, he said. Not a question. I nodded. I can't stay. They'll never look at me the same. You saved their children, he argued. I shifted in their woods, I countered. You know what humans do with monsters they don't understand. He crossed the room, every step slow, careful, like approaching a wild thing. He stopped in front of me, close enough that I felt the heat of him. What about the bond? He asked quietly. My throat tightened. I marked you without asking. You don't owe me anything for that. That's not how I see it, he said. You didn't chain me, Mara. You saved me. You tethered me when I was bleeding out. You gave me something to fight for. My heart stuttered. You don't know what it means. To be tied to a wolf, his silver eyes didn't waver. Then teach me. I looked at him, really looked, at the man who had once stood too close to my monster, who now bled beside me to end him, at the human who shouldn't have belonged in my world, yet somehow did. And for the first time in 10 years, the choice was mine. Not Alden's, not my father's, not fate's. Mine. I stepped closer, my hand brushing the bandage on his side. He hissed but didn't move away. My wolf leaned into the bond, warm and fierce, and for once I didn't cage her. You're stubborn, I whispered. You're dangerous, he said back. And then his mouth was on mine. Heat, pain, promise. Not a claim, a choice. When we broke apart, the sun was rising over Coral Ridge. The blood moon was gone. Alden was ash in the dirt, and the children were home. I was no longer the quiet teacher with a cardigan and coffee habits. I was Mara Vale, wolf, survivor, bond forger, and I would never hide again. 3 days after the blood moon, Coral Ridge pretended to breathe again. Parents left candles on porches. Kids drew pictures of wolves with hearts over their heads. Bad anatomy, brave colors. The school district called it a traumatic incident. The superintendent sent an email about counselors and strength as a community. No one mentioned the claws or the way the night bent when an alpha died. I watered Lila's fern myself. 1 sip. No more. It perked up like a small green fist refusing to fold. Rowan still wore a bandage under his shirt. He refused the hospital 2 towns over. Too many questions he couldn't answer without breaking me open. I sat on his couch while he changed the gauze, our silence full of the kind of intimacy that doesn't need proof. When his breath caught, my wolf pressed against the bond, warm and possessive. I let her. For once, I let her. I kept expecting the town to choose a side, torches or casseroles. Instead, Coral Ridge learned the delicate art of looking away. "Thank you for what you did," Mrs. Clark whispered in the grocery store. Then she reached for soup, like she hadn't said anything at all. The crossing guard tipped 2 fingers off his cap when I drove by. The librarian set aside a stack of books on grief and wildflowers and didn't ask why I looked like something that could snap a spine. But the woods didn't forget. On the 4th morning, I found a package on my doorstep. No return address. Tied with brown twine. The scent hit me before I touched it. Oak smoke. Sage. A whisper of moonrock. Not Alden. Inside lay a claw-marked ledger, thinner than the pack record I'd dug from the mud, tucked around a single object, a silver coin stamped with a crescent and 3 small stars. On the ledger's first page, a name written in elegant, ruthless hand. Amaris. Below it, caretaker of the forgotten. My scar ached like weather, old storms stirring. I turned the coin over. A phrase shimmered along the edge, etched so fine it could have been a trick of light. Debts do not die with kings. Alden had never been a king, but someone had called him that once. Someone who minted silver and counted children like currency. I set the coin on the table and stared until the room went out of focus. Behind my ribs, my wolf lifted her head, not afraid. Interested. I didn't tell Rowan right away. That was my last secret between us, and I rolled it on my tongue like a stone until I understood its shape. I wasn't hiding it. I was learning it. The difference mattered. That night, he came over with takeout and patience. He stood in my doorway the way he had on the first terrible day, solid, waiting. A man built for the long haul. He brushed his fingers against the mark on his throat, the one I'd given without asking. It had healed to a pale crescent, more suggestion than brand. I touched it the way you touch a scar you own. "Still want to run?" he asked softly. "Every hour," I said. "But I'm learning to want other things more." His smile was a slow sunrise. He kissed me in my kitchen, against the counter where the mail piled up and the knife block glinted. We were careful with the parts that still hurt. He winced when my hip bumped his bandage. I laughed into his mouth because tenderness can be feral too. When we broke apart, breathless, his foreheads resting against mine, he said, "There's a council meeting next week. Regional. They'll want answers." "And maybe ahead mine?" I asked. "Maybe mine," he said. "Maybe Alden's ghost. Maybe no one's." He traced a line from my temple to my jaw. "We'll go together." We. The word settled like warm stone. Later, after he fell asleep on my couch with a blanket twisted at his waist, I opened the ledger again. It wasn't a record of punishments. It was a list of names, wolves who'd paid protection, wolves who'd been forgiven, wolves who'd been placed. Some names were crossed out. Some had stars beside them. 3 stars. At the back, tucked into a slit of leather, a blood-marked letter. Mara Vale, it read, in a script that curled like smoke. Every alpha is a door. Kill one, and you learn what he kept out. Pay attention to the stars. When you hear the crows, come find me at the place where water burns. A. Water burns. Crows. 3 stars. The coin felt heavier. I didn't sleep much. Dawn came soft and lavender. I watered the lemon tree until the soil went dark and stubborn. A single green knob still clung to the branch. Maybe it would sweeten. Maybe it wouldn't. I could love it either way. At school, Lila ran to me with a picture. Me as a wolf with a crown of flowers, Rowan with a big sheriff star, 4 tiny kids holding hands inside a circle of stones. She'd drawn hearts over everyone's heads. She'd even drawn the moon smiling. "Do wolves wear crowns?" she asked, gap-toothed and hopeful. "Only the ones who don't want them," I said, throat tight. "Good," she said gravely, "because crowns look heavy." I pinned the picture to the corkboard, right where the fluorescent light made the crayons shine. I wrote our spelling words. I learned the taste of ordinary again, one slow day at a time. And then, on a wind-gnarled Thursday, just as the last bell rang and the room smelled like pencil shavings and end-of-day relief, 3 crows landed on the playground fence in a neat black row. They cocked their heads like judges, cawed once, twice, thrice. The coin in my pocket warmed. Water burns. There's a place outside town where the hot springs leak into the old quarry, steam cutting the morning air into ribbons. People go there for their backs, their sins, their secrets. I had a ledger for someone who signed the world with a single letter and a promise that debts outlive their debtors. Rowan was waiting in the hall with his easy smile and his careful eyes. I could have told him no. I could have said, "I'm tired of doors." I didn't. "Field trip?" I asked. "With or without a warrant?" he said. "Bring both," I said. He took my hand right there in the empty hallway, shameless and certain. My wolf purred like an old engine, pleased with the audacity. We walked out together under a sky the color of fresh milk, past a lemon tree that refused to quit, and a town pretending not to see 2 people carrying the moon in their mouths. At the edge of the parking lot, I paused. The world held its breath. "I counted 3,642 days, I told him, between the life I had and the one I took back. He squeezed my fingers. "Start a new count?" "No," I said, and felt the truth click into place like a blade returning to its sheath. "I'm done counting. I'm busy living." We didn't look back. The crows lifted as we passed, black commas rewriting the sentence the town had tried to give me. Ahead, steam curled over stone like a ghost, learning how to breathe. Somewhere beyond it, a woman named for the night waited with a ledger, a coin, and a promise that the story was bigger than one alpha's grave. I was Mara Vale, teacher, wolf, survivor, bond-bound by choice not command, and the thing hiding inside me wasn't a curse. It was my compass. I bared my teeth to the soft daylight and smiled. If you'd rise as alpha of your own life, share this with your pack and subscribe to Rene's romance stories. New paranormal romance and betrayal tales drop under every moon, some silver, some blood red.